Peconic has been busy. They've been busy.
The meeting of the Board of Adjustment for the Borough of Somerville for September 18th will please come to order. Adequate notice of this meeting as required by the Open Public Meeting Act has been that on January 18th, 2024, a copy of the meeting notice was posted in the Borough Hall, given to the clerk administrator, mailed, faxed, or emailed to the Courier News, and posted on the Borough website. If any member believes that this meeting is being held in violation of the Open Public Meeting Act, please state your views at this time. These proceedings are of a judicial nature. Proper judicial decorum must and will be maintained. Only those items that are on the agenda will be addressed. Next item, roll call.
Chairman Adair.
Here.
Mr. Allett.
Here.
Ms. Karpinetz. Here. Mr. McLaughlin. Mr. O'Neill.
Here.
Mr. Vidimski.
Here.
Mr. Flores.
Here.
Mr. Alvarez.
Here.
Mr. Daniels.
We have a quorum. Would someone move that Morgan's absence be recorded as excused?
I'll
Move. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next, roll call. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We'll suspend with the reading of the minutes. They're not on the agenda for tonight. Resolution.
Mr.
We have one
Chairman,
resolution. I see you've been doing a lot of emailing on it, Cliff.
I was gonna say, we got it all, we're all squared away. The resolution for 25 West High has to deal with the establishment of a group home and a conversion of a commercial property, essentially professional property, to a 4-resident group home with 2 full-time staffers. As you know, the resolution is fairly lengthy. I trust that the board will understand that that's in keeping with the complexity of the application. I did get some requested revisions kind of late from Mr. Salvaggi. I made those, and from the planner, and everything is up to speed and ready to go. Certainly commend it to the board for adoption. I did send this over to you, I sent a revised copy over to you as well, so.
Okay. Someone like to move the resolution?
I'll move it.
Moved? Second, any discussion?
Yeah, I think we should put on the record, or at least anybody who's listening, well, 2 of them, that this facility will pay taxes, it's not tax exempt.
Oh, yeah, it's right in the resolution.
Yeah, I just want that,
Yeah.
anybody to know that this is not a free ride.
There's no tax exemption for either the applicant or the property owner. So we got it on the record.
Yeah,
That'll make the 12 people who watch this meeting very happy.
well, that's 11 more than I thought.
I think when I talked with I think it was Kevin, at one point, we were at 12 people who used to watch us. Baker's dozen. Roll call, please.
Chairman Adair.
Yes.
Mr. Allett.
Yes.
Ms. Karpinetz.
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill.
Yes.
Mr. Vidimski. Yes. Mr. Flores.
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez.
Yes.
Okay, next item on the agenda, the hearing for East Main Street.
Right here, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members. For the record, Larry Calley on behalf of the applicant, Sunoco LLC. We're going to try to keep it as brief as we can this evening on direct, Mr. Chairman.
We
There's
like
not...
brief.
What's that? I'm sorry?
We like brief.
We do too. But I've been getting texts that my 4 kids are going crazy at home, so I'm in no rush to go home. So I may talk a little slower than normal, but we'll try to keep it limited.
That's not really our
Could be
problem.
worse. They could be teenagers.
Yeah, I'll find out, yeah. So very briefly, Mr. Chairman, before I introduce our witnesses, tell you what we're here to do. The Sunoco station has been there for a number of years. The applicant, who is Sunoco, is in charge as far as ownership and maintenance and operations of various Sunoco stations, obviously throughout the country. And New Jersey has been undertaking branding improvements to the Sunocos. This has been primarily limited to signage improvements and upgrades and the like. That's what brings us here tonight.
Didn't we approve this about 10 years ago?
This was before the board previously, Mr. Chairman, that's right. So this application is very limited. It's primarily just signage improvements, but the delta is all downward adjustments. The new signage is not garish, it's not larger, it's not more intense than what's there. It actually ends up being smaller. It's updated branding, but the numbers actually are coming down quantitatively on the overall square footage and the like. So we've got a limited complement of witnesses here tonight. We've got our project engineer, John Anderson from Cornerstone Engineering, who prepared the plans on our record with the board. John will testify shortly. He'll walk you through the site, what's there today, the limited changes tomorrow. He'll identify the relief that we trigger. And then we've got our project planner, Paul Rickey, because we're before the Board of Adjustment. This use was effectively a pre-existing non-conforming. So we wanted to bring our planner for belt and suspenders to go over the relief with the board, the changes, and how they're warranted here under the code and the proofs. So very limited testimony you'll hear from us, Mr. Chairman, tonight with those two witnesses. We've got our documents digitally. We can certainly present them if you like. Our engineer brought a flash drive, or we have the, sort of the old school board mounted, whichever you prefer, if you have a preference.
Let's go digital.
Digital?
Were these filed with the application, or
Yeah, everything you're showing tonight was part of the file, John?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Okay.
these are identical to what was filed.
then they don't have to be checked in? They don't have
Right.
to be admitted?
And our
so-
planner is probably gonna just be live testimony, no exhibits, so we might be exhibit free this evening as well.
Very good, that's fine.
It's just one PDF.
Yeah, at that time, we had two applications for the signage. The one on Main Street and the one on Route 22.
And this works
Gas
like
and
20% of the time to
Okay.
get it to
And
mirror.
talking with
See if I can get it.
with the proprietor,
to go to the
Eugene,
screens. We'll do digital.
I don't know what's
If not,
going
That's why I
on.
bring the
I'll
board.
have you do- Yeah, that'd be great. And if you
It's
feel
been
comfortable,
about
the
10 years.
microphone
Yeah,
does come out.
yeah, that's what I recall from, I looked at the
Just
prior
like-
resolutions from the
Yeah,
Oprah.
No problem.
And we figured a few of the board members might be the same from 10 years ago, and it's nice to see. But the last two applications I had with you folks, it was still Zoom. They were, multifamily conversions, so it's nice to be back in person. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong, right?
That's why you print.
This laptop is the bane of mine, 'cause this has
Art, while we're waiting for Jenna to do stuff, which I can't do, I still got 78 records at home, but can we talk a little bit about the site in general?
Sure.
We could start with testimony, yes, so we can certainly swear in and qualify our engineer. We can start talking.
let's do that.
Mr. O'Neill.
Let me swear you in.
It's
Please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Please state your name and spell your last name for the record.
Certainly. My name is John Anderson, Anderson. I'm a licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey. I work for and a part owner in Cornerstone Consulting Engineers and Design Services, and we are the project engineers that prepared the plans this evening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Counsel, your witness, please.
John, your license is current and in good standing in the state of New Jersey?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Any more questions about his qualifications, Mr. Chairman, or are we
Have
okay?
you appeared before us before?
I think I was, yes. I think probably for the application previously for the same location.
That's what I thought.
We do most of the Sunoco work.
Yeah. Okay. So, John, if you would, we're gonna use the paper, and we've confirmed that these are identical to what's on file with the board, so we're not going to mark them. If you show anything that's disparate from what's on file, we'll identify it, we'll date it today, and we'll mark it as an exhibit. But for now, if you could walk the board through existing conditions, that we can go to proposed changes.
Certainly. The only thing that's different from the submission is we put some color to the plan, that's it. It's the same site plan, except it's got color to it.
Do you wanna mark it then, Cliff?
Please mark it, yes.
So we'll mark that as A1. John, if you could just identify it, the title block.
And put
And
the
the date on
put
it?
the date on it, please. That's our local rule, well, it's not just our local rule, most boards do the same thing, so.
Absolutely.
So Exhibit A1, dated today, 9/18/24. What is it identified as, John?
The plan that's before you is an existing, it's a plan of the existing Sunoco facility located at East Main Street and North Gaston Avenue. It's a site and signage scoping plan set consisting of 3 pages. the site plan, which is the first page, SP1. It's also got two other pages, signage details 1 and signage detail number 2, which would be SP 2.0 and SP 3.0. And that's the same plan set that was submitted as part of the application. It's Rev 1 or revised one time and submitted, and it's before you. The only difference in A1 is that we put some color to it to make it easier for the board to distinguish the site improvements.
Okay.
Understood.
The site is located on the northeast corner of East Main Street and North Gaston Avenue. It is a Sunoco gas station. It consists of a single building on site. That building is roughly 1,320 square feet. It has a small office component and vending component inside, and it's got 2 service bays on the right-hand side of the building. There are 4 multi-product dispensers on site. There are 2 along East Main Street under an existing canopy. There are 2 also parallel to North Gaston Avenue, and they are not under a canopy. There's no canopy on that location. There are entrance drives onto East Main Street and also entrances on North Gaston Avenue. And the site is primarily, all the improvements are located towards the intersection. And then on the front of the building, the right-hand side of the page are parallel parking spaces. And then behind the building and also along North Gaston Avenue are additional parking spaces consisting of six spaces. And as shown on the board or the easel, the darker tan color are the buildings and canopy, the lighter tan are concrete, the darker gray areas or shaded areas.
Please speak into the microphone.
The darker shaded areas of gray are the parking associated with the site, and obviously the green is the grass or pervious areas behind the building and parking.
So do you want to go into now, John, what brings us here for the application tonight, the modifications proposed?
Yes, primarily the modifications are all signage related. You may know that the pylon sign or the sign located at the corner of the intersection has been hit and is down right now. It is going to be replaced. However, the proposal this evening is not to change the size of that sign, but to modernize it. So on SP 2.0, which was part of the set, you can see in the lower right-hand corner, there's a small photo of the existing pylon sign, and then there's a rendering to the right of that of the proposed sign. Basically, it's the same size. They're just changing the manual numerals that get replaced manually or changed manually with a modern LED sign. And then that size is, the pricing component will just be advertising the regular price component in lieu of all 3 products that are available for sale. And then the Sunoco emblem or the diamond sign is at the top of the pylon sign. But basically it's the same size except modernizing it and changing the manual numerals to LED. The next change that is proposed on SP 2.0 is the change in the canopy signage. The canopy sign, they're doing away with what we used to call the horizon graphics, and sometimes it would also have official fuels of NASCAR on there. They're modernizing the image to just be a blue fascia band along the canopy and then simple Sunoco letters on either end of it to basically bring it to its modern image. The canopy signage is actually staying the same. Actually, I'm sorry, there's a reduction. There's a small reduction. They're taking off a couple of signs and just keeping just 2 signs. So there's a slight reduction in signage for the canopy. And then the next, on SP 2.0, the other major change in signage, the fascia band around the building. In the upper right-hand corner of the page, there's a photo of the existing building band, signage band along the top fascia of the building. That also has the horizon graphics on it, and it also has a advertising sign on the right-hand side that is for the detailing business that's in there. That sign's going away. The horizon colored graphics are also going away, and it's being replaced with just a simple blue signage band with no signage on there. So that building signage is actually reducing from 76 square feet to 0. So that's one of the major reductions in signage for the site. And this page is a little complicated, but it's basically just the signage associated with the fuel pumps themselves. Those fuel pumps, as shown on SP 3.0, the signage, we don't really have a picture of the existing signage, but the valences associated with the dispensers also have horizon graphics on it and different signage. It's being simplified, and the fuel dispensers are coming down in square footage from 144 to 120. The total existing signage is 353.4 square feet, and it's being reduced to 230.8 square feet. So basically taking busy signage away from the site and making it a more modern and image component for Sunoco for their new image rollout. Those are all the changes that are proposed for this site at this time. I know there's probably discussion items that the board may want to talk about. It was alluded that they want to talk about some of the site conditions out there, and we're happy to discuss all those items.
Yeah, so at this time, Mr. Chairman, we'd make Mr. Anderson available to any questions
I
you
just have a
folks might
question,
have.
The illumination, will it be brighter than the previous sign or less bright?
It would actually be, so the manual letters are not, they're only internally illuminated, so the LED letters are illuminated. It helps for visibility, legibility, and so forth as people in cars are passing by. So that would increase the illumination. However, from an overall perspective, the signage would be decreasing in illumination. I don't want to mislead the board to say that the freestanding sign's not going to increase. We are adding LED letters that have illumination to them.
Okay. Anybody else from the board have any questions?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you're the right guy to ask, but that station always kind of looks like it's out of, like, I hate to embarrass any state, but it looks like something out of, like, way down deep south, all forgotten about. You know, there's stuff parked around, there's things that I'm not sure if they're being worked on. I gather that probably the bays are rented to somebody else and they're doing work, but it's a prominent corner, and it sometimes looks like it's working on being a junkyard.
We were actually speaking about that, Mr. O'Neill, leading up to tonight when we were all doing our own site inspections.
Yeah.
And Sunoco understands that as well. And cleaning up the site thematically is part of what they want to do here. The signage is obviously corporate, it's branding, it's an upgrade across the board. But I'm glad you said that because Sunoco heard it. They will be cleaning up the site. And our project planner may be able to speak to that a little more in a little more detail. We can certainly, well, we're certainly amenable to baking into any resolution of approval a condition that requires us to maintain the site in good keeping and working order without any dilapidated conditions. You know, Cliff and I can figure out how we can word that, but we're glad to be held to that standard.
I kind of thought you would be. I just thought I'd bring it up.
No, I appreciate, yeah. I appreciate that.
I think you said the same thing about 10 years ago.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, the gas station is not a 24-hour gas station, right?
No.
At times, the light seems to be on when the business is closed. Is there any plans on having the lights off during off hours?
At times it's on when they're closed, or it always seems to be on when it's closed, that you've noticed?
On when they're closed, you know, at night where, you know, residents are
Right.
sleeping.
I guess the request is if it can reduce the illumination to security lighting when it's not being operated, right? Stuart, I think that's what Stuart's getting at.
Yeah,
is
no,
that-
I understand. I'm asking my client if they
Got
can
it.
do that. I imagine they can, but we can make that be dimmed overnight, down to security lighting, you know, at a minimum requirement to meet those code standards for security lighting.
Yeah, I mean, because, you know, that street, I mean, any business that generally all residents want ability to provide to use the gas station too much after 11 o'clock at night, so
Right.
there's no need for it to have the same illumination that it would have during normal night hours.
Sure. So within an hour of closing, perhaps?
Sounds
Okay.
good, yeah. Anyone else have any questions of Mr. Anderson? Anyone from the audience have any question of the testimony just given by Mr. Anderson?
Thank you, John. So we'll call our second and final witness, Mr. Chairman, our project planner, Paul Ricky.
Welcome back, Mr. Ricky.
Good evening, Mr. Ricky. You solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Please state your name and spell your last name for the record.
It's Paul Ricky, R-I-C-C-I.
Very good. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Paul, I know the board recognizes you as a licensed professional planner. Can you confirm that that license is still current and in good standing in the state of New Jersey?
It is.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Paul, if you would, you've heard my proffer to the board, you heard John Anderson's testimony and the few stipulations we made so far regarding keeping the site clean and making sure the lighting goes off after hours. We've got some relief here. It's limited, but we have some relief. If you could walk the board through that and the justifications, Paul.
Sure, maybe I'll just spell out the variances to begin. Number one, it's associated with the rebuilding of the existing freestanding sign, 64.3 square feet. Variance was granted for that in the past. The applicant's looking just to rebuild that in its same form, at the same location, same height, and same size. You heard from the site engineer, the only difference is that the lettering would be illuminated rather than the changeable copy where someone would have to go up on a ladder and pull the letters down. To permit, the second variance is to permit two 23.26 square foot canopy signs, where 3 canopy signs exist today comprising 45.8 square feet. The reduction, again, spoken to by the site engineer. And to permit signage on the fuel dispensers where 120 square feet is proposed, where 144 feet is existing. Those are the sign variances. We're seeking the variance relief under the flexible C2 criteria. We can demonstrate advance a purpose of the miscellaneous law, and that the variances can be granted without a substantial detriment to the public good and zone plan. And here, I think it's pretty clear that this is really an application of a betterment and improvement. It's Sunoco reinvesting back into its property, modernizing its facility, and that investment will not only will result in a greater visual betterment to the property, but it would also bring your signage back closer to your zone plan, which promotes several purposes of zoning. I found that, I think I've testified for a few Sunocos over the years, and some of the boards don't like the old raceway. I call it the raceway graphics. I believe Mr. Anderson called it the horizon graphics. So the new plan is for some nice, clean graphics, just all blue. The signage itself, it's all clear, and there's no real, in my opinion, there's a reduction in visual clutter. The reduction in signage, it's substantial. It's a 42% reduction, which is significant. And again, that promotes the general welfare of the facility. I think it's also important to recognize that having adequate signage to the traveling public is an important aspect of this site too, for safety reasons, onto the property. And I think it's also, again, important to recognize, while we are seeking these variances, all these signs exist on the site in some form. Here, we are reducing the building-mounted signage. So there's no increase in any portion of the signage that exists today. Again, the canopy signage is being reduced from 45.8 square feet to 23.3 square feet is proposed. So I think it's clear that the benefits of this application clearly outweigh the detriments, and the fact that there's such a substantial reduction in overall site signage that this results improved zoning for this property. For these reasons, I think it promotes the general welfare of the community, purpose A. Having adequate signage promotes purpose H. The location of design of transportation routes will promote the free flow of traffic. And clearly, the reduction of signage and visual clutter will promote purpose I, to promote a desirable visual environment. Regarding the negative criteria, again, this is a very limited application because we're just reducing and beautifying the site. As a planner, I see no new negative impacts. Lighting is being reduced here. So if anything, impacts existing impacts will be reduced as part of this application. These signs aren't distracting to the motoring public. They're not overbearing, create an unfair advantage in this area. Again, results in improved aesthetics. The facade improvements, again, are attractive. And for all these reasons, I think it's clear that there will be no substantial detriment to the surrounding property owners, the public good, or your zone plan. I think a key goal in sign regulation is to promote a desirable visual environment through the mitigation of visual clutter, and that's what's really occurring here. So my testimony is rather limited tonight. If the board would like me to discuss any other aspects of the application, I'd be happy to do so.
Thank you, Paul.
Anybody have any questions of Mr. Ricky?
Just out of curiosity, did Sunoco like end its relationship with NASCAR, or, because I remember that was a big deal for a while.
Huge, yeah. I don't know. I'm a big NASCAR guy. I don't know. They may have come to a conclusion. I'm not sure.
I've had this, other stations have been doing the same thing in similar municipalities. I just wondered, all of a sudden it occurred to me, I wondered if that had changed. I think it's more tasteful, I have to admit. I'm not a member of the board as far as decision-making is concerned, but getting rid of that, I think, is a step in the right direction.
Anyone from the board have any questions? I just have one. What's the timeline on when it's gonna be done?
10 years.
So, 10 years. That's what I thought. Because
Any idea?
they still have them down on 22 and Gaston Avenue, and now that's gonna be marijuana, cannabis dispensary, AKA weed store.
Mr. Chairman, the estimate is about 3 or 4 months post-resolution compliance. Once they can pull permits, a few months.
Okay. Anybody from the audience have any questions? Thank you, Mr. Ricky.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. That's the entirety of our case tonight, Mr. Chairman. Remember, it's relatively simple and straightforward, and it's always nice when we get to propose signage that's less than what's there today. We think it sort of is, a naturally positive application and land development. So we thank you again for your time, and thank you for getting us on the agenda in September. I know that we originally were looking at November, but we were able to sneak in September, so we very much thank you for your time. Sunoco is, to your question, what's the implementation timeline, Mr. Chairman? They want to get this done fast, too. So we thank you for your time tonight, as always.
The ADA spot, is the applicant going to comply with the,
We'll just say yes for the record.
yeah?
We will. Our engineer's nodding yes. We'll just put in the record.
John Anderson, again, for Sunoco, yes, we have an idea how to comply with that. There will need to be a sidewalk modification for a ramp as well. We'll apply for permits for that, but yes, we're able to comply with that.
And the guardrail and the housekeeping, that's,
Absolutely, we'll agree to that, and painting of the rear of the building. Guardrail, we were talking about that, either repairing it or actually removing it. I don't, from an engineering standpoint or site accessibility from vehicles, I don't know if it's really necessary. I don't know why it was installed originally.
Right.
But it may be better just to remove it from aesthetically, because it's, in my opinion, it's not attractive.
That's not.
Counselor, does the applicant have any objection to making compliance with Mr. Cole's report a condition of approval?
No, we don't. We can comply with everything in there. No, everything in there is fine. And on the issue of the guardrail, if we can leave that open to maybe a post-approval discussion, because I think the applicant would rather remove it if it's not necessary, but you may need to look at that closer, Mike, since we're bringing that up tonight. But maybe there could be a discussion that you have with John Anderson, post-approval.
Sure,
As to
I mean,
removal or in
basically-
remove repair.
we're all aligned to
Yep.
clean up the site. And what the board member said is, it's a public corner that gets a lot of visibility. And I would like to see, I'm sure the board would like to see it cleaned up to the extent.
Absolutely, yes. Agreed.
I can't remember it being anything but a gas station. You, Rich?
Yeah, it was a flying day before it was a Sunoco.
Yeah, it was flowers, and 10 o'clock, that
Yep.
light went out. Okay, that's it. Anybody from the audience have any comments on the application? Someone like to move, to close the public portion?
I'll move.
Second.
Move in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Ward, which pleasure?
Well, I'll start. I think it's an improvement. Took 10 years to get here, but we're here again, you know? But the site, I think this whole project makes a lot of sense. It's good to see. And we do still need a gas station in town. There used to be like a dozen, and now there's 2.
At least.
So I think it's a good, we want to maintain it. But the site, that needs to be cleaned up, but they've consented to clean it up, so. I'm not sure if we can actually do anything about that, but I take it at the word.
I know for the last 15 years, I've been giving Eugene the flags that he has on in the kiosk. So he's been flying them proudly for the last 15 years that I've been giving them. Any other comments from the board?
Yeah, I just so happen, the light just goes right into my bedroom. So I got, yeah, I would just like to see that the light is dim after hours, you know, if not off, you know. I understand that
That's gonna be a condition of approval.
you know, dim it down because, you know, not only me, but I mean, there's nothing but residential apartments here.
Right.
I mean, if you ever go to the site, like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, there's nothing going on.
Yeah.
You know, there's no business to be had. That's probably the reason why they're not 24 hours, which I don't allow anyway. But, you know, quite frankly, I'm happy that it's gonna be an improvement. I think that's a really good thing. But, you know, just keep the consideration for the residents that live there.
Understood.
In our younger days, we would use the pellet gun on that. Those days are gone.
Anybody else?
No, I agree. It seems to be a very logical and easy approval for me, just as long as they do keep the lights down.
I would like to, even go further, maybe if they can have some plantings, you know, like on the corner of Gaston Avenue and Main, like on the drawing, it just has gravel. And I was wondering maybe like, you know, like I said, 'cause people stop at that light,
And they can't put anything there.
Right, you
they
get a
can't
sight
put
line.
anything there.
No sight line.
Sight lines for
State will go nuts.
Yeah, nothing above 30 inches in height.
Bush?
Wow.
Mess with the site triangle.
Yeah,
It's just that you stop at that light and you're like,
at the state highway.
you're looking at it.
Yeah.
You're on the state highway and the county road.
I have nothing, I think it's fine.
Rich?
As I said, I think it's an improvement, and if they're gonna clean up the site, that's a big improvement, so good all the way around.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, the word of the night is visual clutter, right? So cleaning up the signs is nice, but also cleaning up the other things is gonna be nice. I go there often to talk to Eugene about cycling, so it'll be good to see the new sign.
Sure.
Well, we'll make the cleanup a condition of approval as well. Yeah.
He's getting up there in age.
He still works there. He still works there.
Yeah, saw him last week.
Yeah, like I said, I've been getting flags for the kiosk for the last 15 years. Got a whole bunch of them now. Okay, someone like to move for approval with the,
I'll move it.
with the conditions? Okay, moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Chairman Dare?
Yes.
Mr. Allett?
Yes.
Ms. Carpenetz?
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes,
Mr. Vidomski?
Yes.
Mr. Flores?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes.
Carried.
Thank you very much, folks. Appreciate your time.
I'll coordinate the preparation of the resolution with your office.
Sounds good. Good seeing you.
My pleasure. Good to see you again.
18 years.
Do we have an executive session?
I'm not sure, sir.
I have a resolution to that effect, that's why I was wondering.
Oh, yes, yeah. And I had a couple of things, but we can still be on the record. As you know, on January 1st, the mayor gave the planning board its marching orders to address.
Is this an executive session? We
No,
need-
this is.
Oh, okay, just want to make sure
On the
that,
chairman's comments, that the planning board got their marching orders to address the master plan, the zoning ordinance, and the affordable housing component. And Rich, you had talked about FAR. And what I'd like to do is just schedule a night so that everybody's on the same page as far as FAR. We'll have Mike and Cliff give us a little class, like when Mike gave the class on the difference between 2.5 and 3 stories. So if we'd like to just sit and, I would like us to have a big say in the master plan and the zoning plan, because we're the ones that have to interpret it, we're the ones that have to work with it and make the things that are illegal, legal. So I'd like to get together on that. And if there's anything else that anybody wants to talk about as far as moving forward with the master plan. I know they wanted to start doing it this year, but it's been pushed off to next year.
That was gonna be my question. When are they planning on doing it?
And they're gonna start next year.
My question is this gonna be a meeting of just us, or would it be a
I'd
joint
like to
meeting?
get together, as we did with the POR zone. But I'd like us to discuss it first.
Okay,
And then get together with the planning board. as
because
we
they're gonna
did.
make the ultimate decision, so,
Yeah,
yeah.
just to get our input as to how they can incorporate it
Yeah.
in the master plan.
Okay.
Okay? That's it. We'll go to executive session. Someone like to move that we adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Move second, all in favor? Someone like to move that we go into executive session?
Second.
Move second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And Michael, this is, oh yeah. We had discussed this last month. Oh, can we just, got it?
Do you want to close the meeting?
Yeah, I thought we just did.
Okay.